This is a very important moment that we're in. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are going at it to see who's going to be the next president of the United States. While I already took the opportunity to complete early voting, I know a lot of people are going to wait until Tuesday. I just want to remind you to make sure that you go out and vote, right? So I've been sharing these messages, and a lot of them are based on my framework in my book, My Ultimate Self, How Death Became My Motivator. I mean, the framework is separate from the book, right? I just happen to mention it in the book. So if you have a copy of the book, it's there in, I think, chapter 13 that speaks about taking result-oriented action. A lot of times, whatever it is that we're going through, we just need to take action on things, right? And when I was going through all of the things that I went through, right? And you might see me here, this persona that I am, and you haven't really heard my story, my full story. Not even if you read my book, you know my full story, right? There's a lot of things that I haven't put out there. I've always been a quiet, private person, right? And it's of late that I've been sharing a lot of things that I do, places I go to. And so you might know a little bit about me from, looking at my Instagram or Facebook. But oftentimes I would get stuck on making a decision, right? And so whether it was going through my divorce or going through a bad relationship, being in debt, right? Let's take that one on. You didn't pay the bill on time, so now you get a late fee, and it's now on your credit for being late. When all you needed to do was pay the bill on time, whatever you needed to do, borrow some money, get a loan, not buy the things that you bought on the credit card, right? So there's some actions that cause us to get into problems, and there's some actions that we need to take to get out of problems, or actions we need to take to prevent us from getting into problems. In order to take those actions, I came to realize that, it takes getting to a place of admitting where you are. I am in debt. So now I've accepted that. What caused me to get in debt? How do I prevent that from happening in the future? So that's the acceptance and the reflection stage. So now, what are the possible options? How can I get from this place to the place of financial freedom? What are some things that I can do? What are some habits that I can incorporate into my daily life so that I can no longer be in debt and I can, move above and beyond that? And so once you become aware, you have to make a decision. What is that one optimal step that you're going to take? This video is about making a decision. And since we're also at the peak of the election season, I also wanted to tie in the action element. How do we make a decision and take action? I put it in the book. I am that person who loves to marinate on things, right? What is the possibility, right? What if this goes wrong, right? I was that person. There are people who make decisions quickly and people who take a while to make a decision, but the decision that they come up with is the best decision ever, right? So either way, do you quickly make a decision and then you just go along with what happens? And if it doesn't work out, you know that you can always change, right? And redirect, reroute. But if you take forever to make a decision, like you won't know if that ultimate decision that you make, if it's going to work or not. So my Arada framework, the phase of decision making, is where your ultimate self resides. Making a decision is where, things are going to start happening. So once you make that decision, you can then move to the next phase of taking action. Once I decided that, okay, I am married. I try not to talk about, my divorce and personal life because I respect people's privacy, and me sharing my story is is a possibility of impacting the other person or my children. I still respect them and I respect our lives. So I don't want to put certain things out there. But once I realized, okay, this is not for me. So I needed to make a decision, right? I needed to make a decision if I wanted to stay in a marriage, if I wanted to stay in the house where I am with this person, where we're not getting along. It's not the environment that I want to be in, right? So I needed to decide if I wanted to stay or move. And I made that decision to move out, get my own place. And yes, it's not the most optimal place, right? I moved out of a 5-bedroom house, more bathrooms in the house than people that lived in it. Beautiful space, and I loved my home, but I was at a place where I felt I loved my life more, right? And whatever would come out of it, I know that God had my back. Nobody else had my back. God had my back, right? So God would provide for me. God allowed me to help build that house with my then partner and that family. And so I know I was very, very confident that God would provide and help me to get to whatever else he had in store for me. So I had to make that decision. And yes, there are times when I go and pick up my kids from that house and I'm like, oh, yes, this is the house that I lived in, that I shoveled all the snow. And, we went to go pick out the Christmas tree. And, that's the house. But that is still a part of me. It's no longer where I live, but it's still a part of who I was. And so making a decision, living with that decision, and being okay with what happens, right? And know that you are the most important person in that decision-making process, right? Now, after you make a decision, you have to take action. So I could have stayed there 4 years ago and say, okay, I made a decision to leave, but still stay there, right? So I wouldn't be in this place right now where I am. I can see the smile on my face. I am happy. I'm at peace. I am truly loving who Esther is, right? There was a time when I did not love Esther. There was a time when I did not want to be alive. I didn't think about ways of, like committing suicide. But when I heard those stories of people, right? Professional individuals, beauty queens, TV actors and movie producers, right? I don't remember their names, but I still remember those stories and the things that they did to lose their lives. And I know what they were going through, right? And so when God gave me this thing about how I should show up, it's in that place of helping others who might feel like they don't want to be around. And so I want to now use my time and my voice to give people light and hope, and to let you know that whatever it is that you're going through, know that this too shall pass. When I was at that place of being depressed, I didn't know that it would pass, right? I didn't see the future. In the back of my mind, I knew that God would always have my back. But in that dark place, it's hard to see the light. And so make a decision and then take action. Because action is where now you're going to see things happening, right? It's not going to be immediate, but taking those steps, whatever action you need to take, break it down. So there was a course that I took at Columbia when I was doing my master's. The program I took was Computing in Education. And there's a course called Cognition in Computing. And it shows you how every task, a simple task as brushing your teeth, is broken down into small steps, right? First, you turn on the faucet, you pick up your toothbrush, you wet your toothbrush, and you might have a different process or a set of steps that you take. You take up the toothpaste, you open the toothpaste, you squeeze the toothpaste on the toothbrush, right? So there are different steps until you actually start to brush your teeth. So, like that, with everything that you want to do, there are steps involved. It doesn't just happen immediately. Like the toothpaste doesn't just get onto the toothbrush unless you have some sophisticated way of doing that. Let me know. But yeah, every outcome that you can think about starts with some action. So you made a decision and you're going to take action. And those actions, you're going to break them down into small steps. Start with the small steps, and each small step will ultimately get you to your desired outcome. And so I am going to close off this video because I have to go visit my mom in the hospital. If you watch my previous videos, 3 weeks ago, she got ill. And so it's been an interesting time to, just make sure that she's okay and visit her daily and all that good stuff, and still have to do everything else. And so make sure that you're taking the time to become aware, you're making decisions, and you're taking actions, because your ultimate self, that version of you, 6 months, a year from today, is depending on you to take some action. So go ahead and take some action on your life, on your ultimate self. And I'm sure there were some other things that I wanted to say. I know I probably wanted to read. So every time I do a video, I kind of learn some things I need to do. Like, I will not put on my glasses this time, because the last time I put on my glasses and I had these weird eyes. So, I'm going to try to read without my glasses. Let's see, reposition myself. Look at that. If I put it up here, even better. All right, page 92 of my book. When it talks about decision, it says, make a decision. I may speak for myself, but this can be a dreaded task. You must select one of the options from the awareness phase. And if you watch my previous video, the awareness phase is when you become informed, using all the data, all the information, all the research to build knowledge and eventually wisdom, right? So it does not need to be the best decision, but the most valued one for this issue, this time, and this circumstance. Decision-making tools such as a pro versus con list, a SWOT analysis, or a weighted decision tree can assist you in this process. You're like, what is it that she's talking about? What's she talking about? Okay, so I studied information systems at Rutgers and NJIT many moons ago, class of 2000. And within information systems is, included in all technology areas, right? We talk about programming and coding, but information systems is how people use technology to conduct various business processes, right? Companies use technology, people, and processes to create competitive advantages. So two companies can use the same software and offer the same type of service to clients, but one company might do things a little differently, right? And the way that they do it create a competitive advantage versus the other company, right? So information system is the study of people, processes, and technology. And so within the decision-making area, there are certain tools that you can use, right? So technology in this sense of information system comprises of data, the software, the hardware, right? What tools are you using to capture data, to store data, to analyze data, and create, reports, information that you can then use as knowledge about how you should now proceed, right? So all of that is covered in information system. So the decision making tools that I'm talking about include a pro and con list. A basic, like you don't need a computer to do that. Just some pen and paper. Write down one thing, like Kamala Harris, Donald Trump. What are the pros? What are the cons? Whoever have more pros, that's the person or the thing that you should go for. The one with the more cons, I would think that's what you would stay away from, right? SWOT analysis. This one is, what are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What are the opportunities? And what are some threats that exist? Whatever you're looking at, right? So you're going to use a SWOT analysis. That's another type of decision-making tool. A weighted decision tree. So this is where whatever decision you want to make, you're going to give some weight to the attributes that relate to this item or thing, right? Like, one thing might weigh 2 points, right? Another thing might weigh 5 points because they're more important. So whatever is more important, you're going to give it a certain weight. And then you're going to tally up those weight and see, what's the outcome that is best for you. So there are decision-making tools that you can use to help you in the decision-making process. And I'm talking a bit fast because I thought I would have ended this already. And it's almost 20 minutes and I am not done yet. I still have one more to read. All right. Action. Result-oriented implementation. Start and continue to make incremental steps towards your ultimate goal. Monitor your progress. Make the changes that are necessary to propel you forward. Strategize, seek guidance, form partnerships, and develop a database of resources to support your growth. Whatever challenges occur, do not give up. Please remain persistent. Yay! So that is what's in my book on page 92 of My Ultimate Self, How Death Became My Motivator, available on Amazon, Ingram Sparks book, and, local bookstore in Maplewood, Words Bookstore. So as we go into election day, as I said, I already voted. I'm with her for 2024. I voted yesterday, Saturday, with my daughter. For the first time, she voted. I don't remember when I voted. I came to America in 1995. And as soon as I was able to get my citizenship, 5 years later, I became a citizen. So I don't even remember who was the first person I voted for. But I know that my daughter will definitely remember who she voted for the first time, right? Well, I don't even know, right? I kind of get a sense of who she voted for. But yeah, I know she would remember who the candidates were when she voted for the first time. As an 18-year-old, she wanted to make sure she came home from college to vote. And I feel like I am a good human being. I created 2 awesome human beings, 2 amazing children, with their dad, of course. He was an instrumental part of that process, and he still is. And I felt I needed to vote for a good human being as well. And I say that to say because also in my book, and I don't remember where in the book, but I did mention the story of Barabbas and Jesus. And as a little girl, I wondered when I watched those crucifixion movie, I wondered, how could they have chosen Barabbas over Jesus? Jesus was the good human being. He helped the poor. He did everything right, right? But the people chose Barabbas over Jesus. And it baffled my mind. I couldn't understand it. And now we are going through that same thing. And I'll probably put the scripture, I'll find it and put it on the video. I'm like, I remember when this person was president, right? Got an opportunity. And like, I was like stressed every day. Like, I would listen to the news and trying to see what's happening, and people were getting fired, and it's what's happening, and all that was happening, and COVID and all that stuff. And, for the last 4 years, things will always, there will always be things that we need to work on. But I think we've been in a low stress environment the last 4 years. And so I encourage people to vote for what's right. But at the end of the day, I know that, Jesus had to be crucified so that we can be saved. And so that we can recognize the ultimate God and salvation and all that good stuff. And so some things are ordained to happen. But I do hope that, yes, first woman president, first Black president, first president of Jamaican heritage. I mean, that's a good thing. So as a Jamaican, as a Caribbean, it would give me great pride to see her as the first woman president for this United States of America, where I have pledged my allegiance. And thankfully, Jamaica recognizes, all its citizens will always remain a Jamaican citizen. And so, yeah, please take the time to make a decision, the best decision that you can make for yourself, for this time, for our future generations. Your decision is going to have an impact on what happens going forward. Be blessed, be well, and continue to be your ultimate self. Make a decision and take the necessary actions.